Now, before we leave Miller's Ferry, how did the whites who owned the land, ran the store, all the rest of it, how did they treat you as a black woman, and the other black women who were in the area?
They were very respectful, really. They called me Miss Bolden. Now they called most of the women there on the farm, and people down in this little town, when they went downtown, they called them Annie. The young women, they called them Annie, and the older women, they called them Granny. And so Granny was my nickname, but they didn't know it. So they called me Miss Bolden. They knew I was from Kansas. And I really had no problems in Miller's Ferry.
Why do you think that they called you Miss Bolden and called other black women Annie? Just
couldn't figure that out either, unless it was because the way I spoke up when I would go to buy stuff or to ask for stuff. It could be the way I spoke up for what I wanted, because I did do that there and in Tuskegee. I never took a back seat, really. I think I told one group that in Tuskegee I bought some shoes, and I went in a store and laid the shoes down and walked out and left them. But I walked straight back in there and asked them, and my shoes weren't there, and so I asked them if they'd see my shoes. They said no. Well, the average black person would have been afraid and would have just left. I walked back in the storage rooms, and my shoes were back there, and I picked my shoes up and walked out of the store with my shoes. Now, ordinarily, black people wouldn't do that.
I also understand that you had a little encounter in a drugstore?
Yeah, I was trying to buy some medicine, and he was not giving me what I went for. And I said to him, it's not what I came for. This is not what the doctor said I ought to have. And he said, well, it is too. Just because you're a nigger, that's no sign I would teach you and give you the wrong thing. I said, well, since I'm a nigger, you can keep it. I don't need it.
Where did that come from? That courage, because it took courage to do that.
In Wichita, we didn't need courage to do that. I mean, I wasn't used to that kind of thing. It's just like the folks got out there off the streetcar and fought, and nobody bothered them. You didn't have to take that kind of foolishness in Wichita.
But you weren't in Wichita then. You were in Alabama.
I don't care. I still wasn't afraid. My mother and my great granddaddy, that we call Paul, they weren't afraid of anything. The two of them. Now my grandmother would back, she was, but my mother,
So this just came naturally to you.
Yeah, right.